In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the ground fault test for a Edwards BPS6 booster panel. So here's the front can. Here's our little card on the inside. So you see we have our corresponding troubles for neck troubles, battery trouble, and ground trouble. And that ground trouble is what we're going to be testing. So that corresponds with these little LEDs right here. So there's 6 of them. So the one all the way to the right we want to activate, and then verify that it is registering the trouble. So we're going to basically ground fault one of the NAC circuits, which are up here. So if you look on the side of the card, sorry, there we go. You have your NAC circuits. So what we're going to do is we're going to use just a resistor. I have a 4.7K resistor. I'm just going to put that on the NAC circuit, and I'm going to ground it out, and we're going to see if the panel registers a ground fault. So I'm just going to choose this top NAC here. All right. So I'm just going to loosen this guy up. See if I can squeeze in this resistor without too much trouble. Of course, you gotta do this one-handed. Always gotta remind people of that. The struggles I have. May have to tighten this some. Actually, you know what? Better idea. See that screw right back there? We're just gonna ground it straight to that screw. Don't make this hard on myself. So I have alligator clips, but what I'm gonna do is go right to that screw right there, because we're grounded via the ground coming into the panel here. So the board is grounded. So what I'm gonna do is just take my resistor, kind of bend it, and I'm gonna put it as best I can of course, if I could fucking see. Okay, we have our ground fault. So, can't tell because my hand's in the way, but I'm putting the resistor on the NAC and I'm grounding it to the panel. Okay, so now the ground fault has been removed, or the resistor has been removed. So it's kind of hard to see, but you saw the light come on. So I just took the resistor and I put one lead of the resistor on the red NAC wire here, and then I put the other lead on this screw back here, because again, this panel's grounded. Alright, so this whole board is attached to this ground wire. So any of these metal screws you find on the corners are also to the ground, as well as on the side here, these are also connected to the board, they're grounded. So anywhere where there's metal, and you can ground out the screw. I'm sorry, ground out the board. So again, I put the resistor, I just jumped it basically from the circuit here over to the screw here, and then we got our ground fault light indicated here. So this booster panel does in fact register the ground fault. The reason why we do ground fault checks is to make sure that if any of the wiring anywhere in the building is grounded out, meaning that you have exposed copper wire, like you see a little bit of copper wire in those terminals. If that's anywhere touching metal, like metal in the can, or metal in a junction box, or anything like that, it's going to ground out, which means there's going to be leakage coming out of the wire. So the electricity flowing through the wire is going to leak out, and it's going to ground itself to anything metal. So we do this test to make sure that the booster panel will register that ground fault. So if this booster panel goes into ground fault, it'll tell you on the panel. So that way you'll be able to troubleshoot the issue and try to resolve it. And this is pretty common for testing. You should do this to all your supervised circuits. So this panel is supervising these NACs, so whenever they're in trouble, if they're open or they're ground fault or anything like that, you'll get a corresponding trouble light. So that just tells you that it's being supervised. So as part of your normal testing, you will test the supervised circuits. And you won't need to do it for each NAC circuit, but you do need to do it for whatever circuit's being supervised. So you have NACs on here, so you need to do it at least to one of the NAC circuits to make sure that supervision is working. If you want to go the extra mile, you could ground fault each wire, because the ground fault's only going to be on one wire. So let's say you had all these wires hooked in, you'd have 8, even though we have a resistor on this one, but like let's say we have all of them hooked in, so you'd have 8. You'd have to ground fault all 8 wires. So the positive, the negative, then the positive, negative, then the positive, negative, then the positive, negative. You have to do it all 8 times. If you really wanted to go the extra mile, I wouldn't do that. I would just do it to 1 and just make sure the supervision function is working and call that good enough. But like I said, if you want to go the extra mile, you can ground fault each wire to make sure it works. But I think you'd be kind of stress testing the system beyond that. So that's why I use a resistor, to try to limit how much stress I'm putting on the system. But anyway, that is how you perform a ground fault test for a Edwards BPS6 booster panel.